top 6 within 2 matches of one another.
Yeah.
Because that's just, it's just super cool. Seeing
That's the
things so
future.
close.
It's just everyone can win.
Yeah. As there was a draft that was happening while I was just ranting about
Hello,
things.
Crocodile.
As the Crocodile is left up, we've got a Lucian, Aurelia, and a Diana ban on the side of T1, and then the Lee Sin, Jace, and the Ryze. Makes a lot of sense here. The Ryze, of course, an answer to that Lucian ban. Actually, no, you don't necessarily need it. Ryze does okay into Lucian, so just trying to get rid of a strong tool here.
Yeah, I think T1's macro with Ryze has been basically unstoppable. So I understand that decision. Yep. Also, the Renekton pick doubles as not only a flex, but also a pick away from Morgan, one of his most reliable champions. Hello, Willa.
Okay, that's a Nidalee lock-in.
Yeah, well, I get that. I wouldn't want to play against Owner or Nidalee with a Renekton in the game. That doesn't sound like a good time. Where's my Maokai pick, Hanwha?
Oh no, then they'll give it to Chovy.
Yeah!
Oh, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Just flex it.
I don't like Hanwha always going towards the set, but they are going to do it once again. We saw the set support work out quite well yesterday. I believe it was yesterday anyway. The days kind of melding into one another, but set has been something that has found a little bit of success in the support role. It's now T1. Let's see how they round out their first few picks here. As it could be a bottom lane, but they could also just solidify their top side of the map. This will mean that Faker will be heading onto the Renekton.
That's also a very strong read from T1, that we are working with a topside set, right? Because I think Blinding Cannon is not something that generally you want to go into, especially not with the Gnar still available. Unless they look in Kalista and we go to a cannon support.
Ooh, I love that.
It's carrier, right? So I'm just throwing it out there. I highly doubt that will happen. As
is that Graves?
That's a blast from. Oh, he's looking happy.
He's locking it. All right, Nidalee versus Graves. Man, we really have to cast our minds back. As I'm getting reminded of last year's Worlds. You know,
no. This isn't jungle. This is mid Graves.
Ah.
It's Renekton top mid Graves, and then. It's Kalista and
LS
Cannon.
is working for T1 at the moment. I could understand why that would be coming through here as Gragas being hovered, but I think I like this Camille a little bit more, so that will give Nidalee Camille over to Harma Life Esports. Very powerful up there towards the top side, and if that hookshot connects onto the cannon, very, very dangerous. In the lane, should be okay for Cannon. However, the gank power is just ridiculous, and Camille will heavily outscale.
Yeah, Camille inside is not going to be answerable by anyone on T1. But the early game prio is going to be heavily favored towards this cannon. And that is something that I think T1 were really lacking in the last game. That we noticed is that Faker had a little bit of lane control, but especially on the bot side, it was very favored for Hanwha Life. And it's interesting that considering how pivotal the bot lane matchup was in the last game, that we don't see any prior bot lanes getting picked up, and I think that's also a sign that both these teams are looking to try and catch each other off guard, right? Like trying to really utilize your hidden picks to the very latest, because this might be set support, but we still don't know.
It could be set mid as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Could
be Chovy, so
in the past.
Could also be Camille mid. We truly don't know.
Yeah,
when it comes to Hanwha.
The Camille mid, was it Showmaker or Chovy that had the horror game on
I think it was Chovy.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I might actually just do some research, because my old man memory is not exactly what it used to be. It was never good, to be perfectly honest. It hasn't changed. As okay, Trundle going to be banned away here. We are in League of Trundle at the moment, and Trundle will be denied. I like him in the jungle a little bit more than support.
I think I'm at Ashe. That's
I think Ashe should be banned, but it's going to be Ziggs instead. Tahm Kench will just be insta-locked. I love this. This Tahm Kench is the three-way flex right now.
Yeah, you know what this is setting up for, right? You know it. You know it. It's Deft's Jinx.
Ooh. No, I'm expecting the last pick Ashe.
And then it's
Ashe set.
Yeah.
And it's Tahm Kench top. And it's mid Camille. Because that's a Jhin. Looking to try and just get through the laning phase once again, as Jhin's certainly known to do that. The carrier on Leona is a very dangerous prospect. One thing I don't like about T1's draft is the fact that they have Graves Renekton. And this has historically been pretty horrible, to be perfectly honest. You build the steel caps and then you feel really happy when it comes to, you know, surviving in that lane.
And you have Jhin, so that's also not helping, because Jhin is not a carry that is gonna be happy when everyone around him is gonna be very tanky, and it will be the more traditional setups, I think. Set mid for Chovy, and then Morgan on the top Camille. I want the Kench to be top, but it never will be.
I really want the Kench to be top.
I know.
Camille mid, Camille versus Renekton mid lane, and then Willett camping. It would be a beautiful way for this lane to work out. However, it will just be the far more LCK-esque draft.
I think it makes sense, right? You don't want to really pick the Camille into the Renekton. It's not the greatest matchup. Can hold the W and negate your shield. It's not the end of the world, but it's not a. It's playing into Renekton as a melee character that isn't set, or Kench.
Yeah,
isn't very fun. And I think if you fall behind with this draft, you are in deep trouble as T1. Way more than last one, where I felt like, even considering how blowout the later fights were, it didn't look that way. But I still think that comp had opportunity had they not completely lost all semblance of control, right? Because the tempo that was dictated but to them by Hanwha was just too much. This one though, not happening. I don't think you want to go into late. You have a huge problem later on getting through some of these beefier members. Chovy, Morgan later on, Vista is going to be a brick wall. So mid-game, name of the game, but mid-game spikes for Hanwha Life. Terrifying as well.
This is the thing, I think that Hanwha Life really have had their finger on the pulse when it comes to the draft so far today. I think a lot of people will be looking into this mid lane and saying, but that's not Chovy on a carry. But let's see what Chovy can actually do here, because we have seen sets carry in the past. But still, I mean, like you say, I think that T1 certainly have a lot of tools for winning early skirmishes, but I'm really hoping that Owner plays around the top side of the map.
Yes,
with this Graves to really augment Canna and put Morgan down. Because if this Camille can just do what she wants, this is going to be a really difficult game for T1. And we saw Morgan have a really good game in the last one. Died a couple of times early, but then was able to be in exactly the right place. Plus, he's going to be so important in team fights to try and remove the cannon with his Hextech ultimatum. He can either isolate the cannon or push him out of the fight. And that's certainly going to be a huge opportunity. Vista's exhaust is also going to be very, very valuable, and something that we will have to keep our eye on as this game goes on.
Deft went for the Comet build, one that we haven't seen. It's a bit more about the Halo Blades.
Yeah.
Also picked himself up Gathering Storm, unlike Kana, who went with Scorch. I don't know how we feel about that one. In this scenario, though,
I think Scorch is better. If you're gathering the storms, then it's not going to be a great time. And he already gathers storms. That's what he does.
You are the storm, right? Yeah. Is his title the Eye of the Tempest? I want to say yes, but I'm not sure. That might also be a Janna thing.
I'll give it to you. Eye of the Tempest does sound a bit Jannery.
It might be, yeah.
But I'm not entirely sure. And Jannery definitely not a word. As it sounds like
it's never held you back.
Yeah, I mean, that is very true. I just need to tell people that sometimes I say things that are not words, despite the fact that my job is to say words. Chovy now just going to be commanding some respect here in this mid lane set. Certainly a lot of staying power within this lane, as Faker being very patient as this wave will just maneuver towards him. And he has taken Slice and Dice first, which is not exactly the most power, but he is going to be able to use it aggressively here, as we just saw, level 2 now gained, as he just sidesteps the Haymaker quite nicely.
Also see the ward on the Raptors there, meaning that they do know that Owner is pathing towards top side, and we might have an early 2v2 there. Because as you pointed out, they need to play for Kana. And they do play for Kana generally, so in that regard, good on you, T1.
Yep.
Because if this cannon falls behind, even footing is manageable, but like if it falls behind and his damage is negligible, then it becomes so easy for Hanwha Life to itemize. Their mid-game spikes will be really hard to deal with. And making sure that Kana can just keep shoving like he is right now is a really, really important task for T1. The Renekton, once he hits a couple more levels, is going to be able to shove a lot more reliably as well. Doesn't really need level 3, 4 until he can reliably start trading with the set. As we saw level 1 set is not a champion that a lot of people can deal with. Maybe Trundle. Trundle was banned though.
Yeah.
And there's very few things that can match a early Trundle as Owner.
Yeah, some
saying
possible
hello.
meetings here as we do have Owner just transitioning over towards this scuttle. Did manage to grab the top one as Vista will be very quick and takes this one down. So Owner going to be completely known here towards the bottom side. Canner, of course, with information about Willer as well, will mean that he can continue putting on the pressure up here, waiting for that W. Try and get a little bit more damage onto Morgan, who's playing very respectfully into the early cannon, as you definitely want to do.
Oh yeah. Ooh, loving this. Owner going for an early invade. I wonder whether he's going to camp the brush.
Oh, he is.
Oh boy. Ooh, I don't know if they see Willer. Don't think they did.
Right, Willer actually moving towards the bottom side. His Gromp is up. Now Chovy looking for a possible face breaker. Willer is going to at least be in the area. Shadowing Chovy. We liked this about his play in game number 1. And another thing I want to draw your attention to as well, everyone, is the fact that Willer can gank any lane. There is so much setup everywhere for this Nidalee. And we need to see him be a little bit active. Right now, he is just perma-farming. But if he can get into these lanes and really get some kills, this could be a blowout for Harmalife, as that's another phase breaker. Chovy collects himself a turret shot onto Faker as well, which is definitely good news for him.
Yeah, and Owner now falling behind relatively early. We saw the pings go down earlier on, so they had an idea where Wheeler was. Now, of course, also spotting the ward, but the moment that Chovy walked up, Faker was question mark pinging, like, hey, I think there might be Nidalee there. And with the early CS deficit already being founded by Graves, this is one of the reasons why actually Nidalee was always picked into Graves, right? Because you ignore the true grit, the extra armor that he stacks is fairly negligible to you, and you're able to at least catch up. And in this scenario, with Willer just farming and Owner looking and failing to find either an invade or a ganking opportunity, build up a substantial CS lead here.
Yeah, the thing as well is that with the extra health that she got recently in her buff, also means that you can roll a little bit better with the Graves as well. So you'd think that maybe that matchup is even improved further. I was trying to cast my mind back as to, you know, who really wins out, because you can really hard farm on the Graves as well. Yeah. And it sort of does depend on, you know, where the rest of your lanes are and what kind of priority you're able to pick up.
It's more of a soft counter, right? Like, it's a nice matchup. It's not one that is like the Jace Wukong, for example. What we've seen, what it can do as Scuttle Skirmish. Yeah.
And seeing the bottom lane as well try and tussle for position down here as Gumayusi taking a lot of damage. Has to flash as Willer looks to try and get in there. Did utilize his Abyssal Dive as now Harmalife Esports moving back towards this Scuttle, but it's just the remnants. The rest of T1 were able to get it, but now double flashes down for the bottom lane of T1 in trade for just a bit of Shellfish.
They got the crab, Atlas. So Owner calls his worth. I don't think the T1 bot lane does.
No.
Because in a level, Death will have his ultimate available, and getting rid of that one is a lot harder now. Yeah.
Already used here as Faker's positioning, quite aggressive. Will run out relatively soon, just using that to push out this wave as Owner paying a bit of a visit towards the bottom side as Keria does not find the Zenith Blade, but does hit it onto the minion wave to help Guma take it down a little bit faster potentially. As we do have Willer here in the vicinity. His positioning around the map has been leagues better than we've seen in previous matchups. Willer really has his jungle sense in order here today.
Yeah, looking really good. Him and Owner basically continuously running into one another, having the same idea consistently. As unfortunate trade there, really nicely done by Chovy as well. One of the things, of course, that you want to ensure is that you're actually able to get off your Haymaker. So comboing it early on in the stun of your smash is kind of required. And while all of this has been happening, I called for Owner to play for Kana. That hasn't been done, but as we see, yeah, that is a favorite matchup.
Yeah, it's a pretty good matchup, especially here in the LCK.
Yep. However, just keeping track of Willer does mean that Khan has been able to do what you're supposed to do on the cannon in this matchup. And that is a really nice start. Ultimate also available, and I think it's risky for Humble Life to go in if you don't land any poke preemptively.
Well, they're going to try to, as Canner is going to move down, and it is just going to be the Rift Herald secured. So, Hanwha now able to back away if they would like to. I think it is an intelligent maneuver. They will do so. Morgan was pre-harassed by this cannon. I think giving that up was smart of Hanwha. Would like to see them try and make some moves, as Will is here towards the top side. Only going to be clearing out some control vision as Morgan gets that ward over the wall. And it's Gumayushi coming up for a potential dive here. Rona takes a spear to the face. Carrier's going to turn up though. There's a 4-man investment. As hookshot comes down, Morgan is going to be able to make it out as Chovy finds the ultimate, flashes forward. Faker in trouble. He's not going to go down just yet, but he does have to flash. It's a trade. As both of the mid laners now without their ultimates or their flashes, but it looks like Chovy will be able to grab himself at least a plate here. And Deft is down here on the bottom side, unimpeded. So it is just going to be some plate gold going over to Hanwha. If you get 2 plates off the back of your opponents taking a Rift Herald, you're pretty happy.
I was really worried because this was not worth at all, right? Like, yes, you pick it up, and I think that going for the Herald is fine, but then Humble Life's response was, let's go and pick up the farm in our lanes. And T1's response was, let's try and multi-man Envision on top side and get ourselves a turret. Humble Life respond appropriately, just have a couple of people hovering around that area, which means you can't really get the first turret blood. And then...
Ooh, Chains of Corruption land. Oh no, Faker's just dead. Will is going to grab that kill. Cute little penguin there as well. Really nice setup there from Hanwha Life, and that's exactly what this comp is capable of. You know, the pick power of Varus in Italy is not to be underestimated.
And I think you need to get topside as owner. You need to plop down that Rift Herald, get more cold into your cannon, and try to find actual 5v5s, because around the map, you're getting kind of dragged around. Faker just face-checking the brush, not even suspecting that someone might be hiding in there. And it's exactly those type of mistakes that give Hanwha Life a much more comfortable game. Because we talked about the solo AP source on T1, it's Kana. Well, same can be said for Willa. And we've seen Peanut show what being the sole middle AP source can do to a team. T1 not really having anyone that loves tanking spears. Carrier can, but still doesn't feel amazing and have to use the Eclipse whenever he does. So Willa getting fed is really big for Hanwha. Loving this visit from One. I think this is very necessary. Want to get the first turret blood and get your cannon even further ahead.
That's a big wave being stacked up here by Morgan though, so it's going to take a little bit of time for T1 to really get that wave into position. I'd like to draw your attention to exactly why I don't like Graves Renekton, by the way. There's this thing called Bramble Vest that Chovy has built, and it makes being Renekton Graves a really horrible thing if you're trying to gank that particular lane. So Chovy is very comfortable right now, as we can see, currently with a slight level advantage, but also 20 CS in the lead, which is a pretty Chovy thing, but also really going to make things a bit of a worry, as Shelly is going to pop a noggin into the top outer turret.
Yeah, Cannon's about 1,500 gold up now.
Yeah, he's pretty massive.
Okay, so this is going to come down to how can T1 utilize this monstrously fat cannon. Morgan again falling behind. We saw last game, they didn't really deter Morgan at any point as Faker.
Yeah, there's the Dominus. Chovy does have his ultimate available as the Haymaker. He was just holding on to it. Just going to walk it out. Faker knew that he couldn't really go too aggressive there, and no flashes for either of these mid laners. Chovy wants to be able to get some of this experience, but knows that there is some looping coming down here as Willa turns up, try and at least play some interference. He will look to try and deny whichever plates T1 are going to go for, as Chovy, Pit Grit, helping him out here. Zvista's going to move up as well. Did move over a ward, but knew that he did. A Solar Flare comes down, and he's just dead. Carrier's able to pick that one up, actually, and Chovy overstaying his welcome in the mid lane.
Very clean CC chain from T1. If you mess that up even a little bit, Chovy gets his Haymaker off. And then, I don't know what happens, but it's definitely bad for T1.
Oh, it's worse than whatever happened just there, because it's pretty nice.
Oh, that was great. That had no downsides. We love that if you're a T1 fan. As Hanwha Life, doesn't quite work out. Chovy also clearly feeling very safe underneath his turret, and and a play that needs to be executed well is indeed the case, as Def now sitting on his first item. Those arrows hurt. Nice sidestep by Guma, using his Swifties. Oh, well, that one got dodged. Yeah.
That one definitely hurt.
No Drake has been taken yet, and I think as T1, you have your Proto Build and Cannon, you have Teleport. Go find yourself some 5v5s.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I like that idea. Is we've got Morgan down here. He's got his teleport available if there's anything he does want to answer. A couple of these plates have been taken 10 seconds until they do fall all the way down. And Harmer Life are just going to come on over and take this Drake down very comfortably. As now Faker is going to be able to slice his way out, so he'll be okay.
Thank you, Mr. Guma, for the trap. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, Carrier taking a little bit of damage here from Def, as they'll take the long way around to defend this outer turret in the bottom lane.
And this is something that, unlike last game, TWon able to actually get themselves a substantial lead. Last game, they got ahead at 15 minutes, but it was very minute and more of a joke than an actually relevant game state.
Yep.
In the current situation, though, it is most definitely something you're going to feel good about. Of course, Oni does get spotted. He doesn't spot the ward himself. But this is a Cannon, and while I think that Cannon can do fine, has enough with how fed he is 1v1 threat, I want to see him utilize that pick. Faker might try to go for this play with Carrier again, but Chovy, he's not going to fall for that again, has the flash available as well. And I want to see T1 force Humble Life into situations where they need to actually engage in 5v5s.
Oh, phenomenal spear there from Willa. As Faker does slice his way over the wall. Shirley now under fire. Some of these spears are landing. Def now getting into position as Canna. His position's known. Dominus has to be popped as Carrier dives on in there. Instant devour there onto Def, who's now getting out, trying to get the damage down. Chovy in a lot of trouble, gets the face breaker. Haymaker doesn't land onto the cannon, but he does manage to get the kill as now Carrier trying to get out of there. Blast Cone gets him to relative safety, but Deft has a piercing arrow as Faker looks to try and get a dice available, and I believe he did, but didn't need to use it. As Shirley was taken down and picked up by Canna. He sacrificed himself to get the neutral objective, the Eye of the Herald.
Disaster for T1, because the one thing that they want to try and get done, which is utilize the power of this cannon in a nice 5v5 fight, doesn't come to fruition at all. It's a beautiful devour from Vista, and I'm not sure what the stun was, but Kana was basically unable to actually get onto the enemy backline, even using his flash. So we're gonna take a look at that in the replay, because those two things.
I like to think that maybe it was Chovy pressing R on it, because that is pretty dangerous. Okay, no, it wasn't.
It was the chains.
Yeah, and
wow.
also the hook shot.
Yeah, Jeff just immediately hitting him. That's really big, because you see there's no backline access. These health bars are full, and then Cannon does nothing.
Yeah.
And it was also, of course, it was known, so the risk is always there. But with the flash available, you can still try and salvage those kind of situations, especially with Carrier finding that flank there. And it's not the end of the world, but you do lose your lead. And yeah, you get the second Herald, but second Herald is never going to have the same impact that the first one does in terms of what it provides you, unless you can get a tier 2. But going for that is not easy.
Yeah, and Chronicler, I'd like to let's talk about some cannon viability. This game, shall we? Let's have a look on the side of Humble Life. What kind of answers do they have to the slicing Maelstrom? Well, the obvious one is, of course, the exhaust. Aztec Ultimatum is then pretty good at getting a cannon out of the fight. Oh, the Superplex from the set, pretty good at getting him out of a fight. Devour, pretty good at getting him out of a fight. Chains of Corruption are pretty good at it as well. Not a lot of options here. Is the immediate flash there from Deft. Vista is going to Abyssal Dive into position. Does have the Devourer available as well, but Shirley is going to be able to take down that outer turret in the mid lane. T1 starting to get the screws in, but Morgan splitting on the bottom side, and you can see there is also Chovy on the top side of the map. See whether Shirley can get another charge, and it looks like she will. Oh no! Will are actually able to get her down as Chovy is teleported in, and T1 are going to use that as their option to back away. As soon as T1 do disengage, Morgan is also going to get out of there. This kind of makes his way down bottom side as well. And it's not too bad here for Hanwha, but it was a good play with Shirley there in the mid lane.
And if Guma can actually connect his W onto DefDead, then maybe they are able to get more out of that. Fake going for the aggressive play there to try and take down the verse. Does still force the flash, right? So it's still a nice play. You're still happy about it.
Yep.
But you don't get as much out of it as you possibly could. And I'm glad you pointed it out. It's not easy being Kana in this game, And that's why I think that what we saw T1 do there is okay. But if Hanwha Life show that they're ready to just respond to the cannon, if you go for a straight-up engage, you're going to have to be looking to use some subterfuge. Maybe go for a flank. Maybe try and get Kana into a brush. We'll have the flash available soon again. Deft won't. So that is a cooldown you can try to play around. And I think this Infernal Drake is a big one. Giving over a second Drake in of itself not the end of the world. But we pointed out, I don't know how happy you're going to be as T1 if you go into the late game.
Yeah.
Miracle plays from Cannon always remain a possibility, but between your Jhin and your Renekton, it's not going to feel amazing.
No, you're going to have to see Canna channel some vintage Smeb, I think, to make this one work. But you can see Hanwha with excessive setup around this area. They're definitely going to be very strong as Chovy, just going to eat a few abilities here from Owner, and there's the Hextech ultimatum towards the bottom side. We've got Hanwha Life Esports fighting around Canna as in goes Chovy. Looks to try and take him down. The Haymaker is going to be avoided there by the stopwatch from Canna as in goes Willa. Immediately, two are executed as now Faker exhausted as he tries to get into the back line. And the Chains of Corruption ring true as well. It's a double kill. The curtain call means about 0 here for T1 as Hanwha. They win a fight and now move towards the Drake.
And they lose no one. No one dies. Kana gets caught, and it's again. This Camille has been so pivotal for Hanwha Life because Morgan is more than happy to start it off. Deft's arrows are in. It's point and click today. I don't know what he did this morning.
Deft has been practicing some archery, dude. That's what he's been doing. His Ashe fantastic in game 1. Gets another bow on the Varus here in game 2. Absolutely fantastic.
He watched the Olympics and he was like,
"That's what
okay, I gotta step up, guys, because look at these arrows." And yeah, it's just really nicely done. Yeah, there we go.
And the flash from Willa. He's like, I know that spear's gonna hit, but this is a double kill, by the way.
Insane. And then the immediate Devour from Vista, making us forget that it's an ultimate this time. It's no longer a basic ability, because it feels like you use it up every time. And this goes back to T1. They're trying to force something there. The idea is try and get Kana in, but you know this is coming. And the moment that Owner gets those trades on Chovy, you need to respect the lockdown potential of Camille. Camille can just hold you there for a short amount of time. And the moment that Kana uses Ultimate, I think as T1 you need to peace out there. I think you just say, okay guys, Maelstrom's gone, never mind. Let's just run, let them have the Drake, try and maybe get some control on top side. Because Hanwha Life's fights are just,
Are we double pogging Deft today?
Yeah,
is that what's happening?
Well, that's how I'm feeling right now, Atlas.
I'm
tell you that.
the same way. He's got a 2,000 gold lead right now, 2-0-4. Currently 100% kill participation. 8 kills in 21 minutes is pretty LCK of this. But this game has just been played beautifully by Hanwha, and it's off the back of their last game as well. And it's two very different compositions as well. I mean, this comp requires a lot more setup. The other one was far more chaos-centric, right? Whereas this one, you want to set up around objectives, get that poke to land, things like that, and then play around who you can pick off. And they've been doing it beautifully. Now they're going to start off the Baron as Deft, not actually seen here over the wall.
Owner's bot side. This is gone.
Yeah, no, this is a free Baron.
This is just...
teleport going to come through here as Deft.
How do they know?
Spotted by Carrier. Vista is in the area. T1 do know what's going on.
It's just gone.
Carrier's Eclipse now on cooldown. And yeah, this is a real dead Baron. That's free.
Oh man, Hanwha Life. Hey, better late than never, Atlas. You know they were invited to the party, and everyone was like, "Oh, Hanwha, you know, they're these cool guys, Chovy and Deft. They're like the popular ones that you really want to pick
while
off."
the host is tidying up all the empty cans, Chronicler. That's not what you want.
But they're so cool. You got like, okay, well, we'll continue.
I'll get some Doritos out of the cupboard.
I have maybe 1 or 2 drinks left. You know, I was gonna go to bed. I had work tomorrow, but for you guys, I'll make an exception.
However, it's still throwable, of course. And also, if T1 do find one of these miracle engages, they still have an incredibly large cannon, right? We know that cannon can do some amazing things. Yes, Hanwha have a lot of tools.
Can do that?
But it's a possibility.
No? Okay. Too much?
No? What? Sorry, I didn't.
I don't want to repeat the joke because, like, I said it and then I regretted it. And now I'm not going to sell it back to you. I got away with it. It's the perfect crime.
Okay, beautiful. I'm glad that only everybody that was watching had to listen to it. I was actually completely immune. As T1 now looking to try and get some defense working, and right now the Baron is not doing all that much as Harmon Life Esports getting their waves in order. We've got the Set and Camille in split push positions, and Deft is actually going to be pretty safe here in this 3 in the mid lane. In fact, the poke ability, as well as the safety that Tahm Kench provides, does create a lot of power in this 1-3-1.
It's insane. It's so hard to do anything for T1.
All right, well, there's a showstopper as Chovy's just tanking up the turret happily, grabs himself a haymaker onto Faker there. Almost forgot the name of the ability, but got there in the end.
This is not fun.
No, it's not. And actually, you know, we've spoken about Renekton into Set before. The fact that you can break the Haymaker shield is really cool, but the way that Chovy's been playing around it, always using the Haymaker from range, as Guma gets taken down extraordinarily low. Deft has to get devoured, though. Has a big shield as the curtain call. Vista's just going to stand in the front of it. And the grey health is going to mean that it barely registers. And look, the poke. It's registering. They're sending the members of T1 back, and this is huge. It creates man advantages and means that now this suffocation will continue. And it's not only these turrets getting sieged, it's the jungle being eliminated. It's Hanwha just continually extending their leads.
You're also denying T1's win condition, because T1 is looking to either find assassinations, which Vista has been very diligent about not making happen, as this Drake is certainly going to get taken. But you lose both sides, right? We see that Chovy can basically dive Faker. Like, Faker will stay alive, he can clear the waves, but that's also all he can do. If you look at the item disparity that is available there, with Chovy having 2.5 items and Faker sitting on like 1 and a little bit.
Yeah.
And Kana, he's fine clearing waves again, but like he's never going to be able to match the Camille. Hasn't even finished a second item yet, but once that comes through, that matchup in terms of 1v1 is also not really something that I think you're going to have a lot of pressure in, especially as Morgan is approaching level 16. And then what you want to do as T1 is fight, but Harmon Life just not giving you the opportunity. You're standing there in mid lane, you're like, maybe we can collapse upon them, and then Deft hits 2 arrows. And then that's that. As this is a trap.
Yeah, they've set it up here onto Morgan. Let's see how well he navigates the situation.
Does he
Well, he now does, as the hook shot will come down, but he goes golden. There's the flash to get him over the wall. Owner now trying to chase after him. He gets himself a bit of a shield, but that is going to be the Camille going down. Pings now onto the inhibitor turret in the mid lane as T1. They're going to have to go back and quickly. They want to defend this, as Harmon Life know that they do have a window to try and take this one down. Chains of Corruption go wide, as Willa getting some damage onto the turret, but it's not going to fall. So, success here for T1.
Oh, look at that ward. Look at that. Look at that control ward there. In the T1 jungle.
Possible flank options.
See some plays there, but it is a big risk with the Baron coming up relatively soon. Don't have to run, and they can just pick up a turret here, right? So you're going to feel happy regardless. And when we lost vision, that was 2 people in that brush. By the time that Morgan actually got caught, it was 4 people. It was all another party being thrown. And Morgan was indeed there on time, although I think he didn't want to be. I think as nicely played as you can. So many ultimates being thrown out there as well. But there's no real response available. The only one who could possibly join that would have been Chovy, and him going by himself would not do a lot, so he tried to get the most out of your pressure as Hanwha. You were on the tail end of your Baron anyway, so not the end of the world. And shows us this is still winnable, right? Like, Hanwha Life still need to respect, and I think they've been doing a great job thus far. And for them, easy peasy. Hold on for a little bit. In 2.5 minutes, you pick up a Mountain Soul. Then you beat him, Peachy.
Yeah, Deft has a bit of a lead.
He does, doesn't he?
He's a big boy in this game. Guma, though, will still be relevant. Able to get these curtain calls from the back line, but did have to go for a bit of a rough build. Going for the armor penetration second is always a sign that you are not feeling like you are on the front foot. As these items do start to come in, the Jhin will still be rather scary, unless he's up against Chovy or Vista, I guess, because they are extremely tanky. Let's have a look at this. You can see Deft picking up loads of items. He's managed to collect 3 now, in comparison to just the 2 from Guma. He's got a pickaxe there, but not going to be riding home about that one, as piercing arrows really do hurt.
Yeah. Like I said, it's either a cannon flank or Owner, as he's been doing very diligently, might I add, is going to finish his Infinity Edge and is going to one-tap someone. But the problem that comes with that is that there are 2 stopwatches, a Zhonya's, what I assume will be a Guardian Angel, and also, you know, trying to 100-0 Camille is generally not the most fruitful of endeavors.
Indeed.
And a Devour, and an Exhaust. So that is, there's so many layers that you have to get through as T1. As you pointed out already, I don't think that comp skills exceptionally well. You can team fight, I think, no matter what, and you can win that way. But when it comes to 1v1, Humble Life have been the better party throughout the entirety of this game. Morgan can now get the shove in the on the bot side wave. Would like if they send someone to top, and it looks like Chovy is maybe thinking about that, but I think now it's Humble Life with 40 seconds on the clock. You want to just go invade the enemy bot side jungle, try and set up as much vision as you possibly can, and guarantee that T1 is at the very least going to have to eat some spears and or arrows if they want to try and contest this trade.
Indeed. Cute little Aegis built there by Chovy as well, as you can see. Nice mix of being tanky and also having a lot of damage threat as well with that Black Cleaver, which will help Def do a bunch more damage, not to mention the Camille also. T1 now trying to get into relative position as Chovy will be spotted there on that ward, but Def just in this pit, setting up for all of this archery, finds another arrow. Will it land? No, it won't. Spears also going a little bit wide as Hanwha wanting to now start this one off. Chains of Corruption will go wide as Owner will lose half of his health bar afterwards. Hail of Arrows coming in. Another Spear is going to miss as Deft is going to take a bit of damage there. The Drake not as angry just yet as Chovy now looking to fight Faker. You can see it's a lot of damage out of this set as Faker is going to try and take the fight to him. Oh my goodness, Kerry is just dead. The Showstopper lands onto Faker and Chovy is looking for this 1v1, finds the Facebreaker, and he will just take down Faker now. Canna gets exhausted and just tries to lightning rush his way out, and Hanwha are still looking to chase, but they've taken 2 down. They should be able to take the Mountain Soul, and this game is really starting to blow away from T1.
The stakes are so big here, right? Because if T1 lose this, that means as a Gen G fan, you're ecstatic. Because if Gen G then finds the 2-0 over Nongshim in the next series, Gen G get a bye.
They're second. It's crazy.
It's insane. They're 5th at the moment.
Oh man. This swing will just be ludicrous as well as, yeah. This is the poke. This is the danger. As Chovy as well, I mean, he's built for exactly this 1v1,
oh, yeah,
right?
You never win that. I mean, Faker's trying to set up, right? Like,
yeah,
he knows when he starts that either he's trying to zone Chovy, so the rest of his team can actually make a play, or they're looking for the collapse. Which, of course, collapsing on set, never the most fruitful of endeavors. But what do you do?
Yeah, while he decided to do that, Carrier just got popped from a million miles away.
Yeah.
And then he's stuck between a rock and a hard place, which is something that happens a lot here on the Mountain Rift. However, it's not what T1 wants. Chovy has now got the experience advantage. Morgan actually ahead of Canna now, and we are starting to see the pendulum swing in favor of this Camille. The cannon stock is really starting to fall. As Will throws that control ward outside of the brush. Makes me a little bit sad. These spears still raining down, and Hanwha now with a Mountain Soul. Oh, okay, that was a nice little dodge there from Canna.
Yeah, everyone was ready.
Yeah.
And the problem here is that technically, as T1, there's always going to be an opportunity, right? But like the actual layers that you have to go through to find a successful play requires so many successive mistakes from Humble Life that it feels very similar to last game. But in the last game, I think in the early game, they had a lot more footing here. Basically, ever since that initial fight in the Herald didn't go amazing. And then there was the bot side play where they tried to go for the Infernal Drake at the time. And they just lost. And from that point on, they haven't had any control. Humble Life have been running them around the map, have been able to pick up a free Baron. Deft has just been... Yeah. This is all, like old lethality Varus. Like I'm talking...
This is KT Deft lethality Varus when it wasn't meta, and he'd just bring it out and destroy people.
Yes.
This used to happen all the time, but now it's like a really meta pick, so we don't get to talk about Deft doing that anymore, but this used to be his wheelhouse. This is what he loved. And we used to talk about it, we're like, well, they won't have the consistent damage. Well, it doesn't matter if you always start the fight 5v3.
That's the tank.
Oh yeah, is it?
I mean, it's clearly not. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the tank is the guy with the thorn mail in that mid lane, as Chovy is very, very scary. And now Hanwha, they get to play around the Camille's push. They're now able to clear out all of the vision in this Baron pit.
Oh, goodbye.
Yeah, Canna.
Oh.
Okay, Morgan's going to cancel it.
I mean, it doesn't matter. If they go for him, they have to go in, otherwise he
It's a
kills
good stun.
Kana.
Hextech Ultimatum comes in immediately. It's the Zhonya's and the Slicing Maelstrom, but still don't know whether you win this. There's another hookshot comes through, doesn't get the stun. Tactical sweep misses, and the flash forward from Guma will secure the Camille. But now, there are two that are missing from this area. Showstopper comes on through, and immediately the Graves is just dead. A little bit dangerous, but not able to get that smite off. And that means Will is able to secure the Baron. So it's 1-for-1, but Baron now circling once again on Hanwha Life. They've got themselves the Mountain Soul as well as Carrier. Yeah, slowed and will be taken out here. Gets the Zenith Blade, but it's a little bit sad in the end. Guma's going to get exhausted as Vista is just chasing after him. He's got the Devour. Can actually eat the Jhin if he wants to. Now Chovy's just underneath this turret, ignoring its potential damage. Gets himself the shield from the Haymaker, and they break open the base. Canna is going to hold on to this minion wave, so at least they're not going to lose the game off this one. As with that zoom out, the back looked really, really cool. Is this inhibitor not actually going to be taken? As Hanwha now move towards this inner turret on the top side of the map just to get as much gold as they possibly can. And this gold lead is really starting to get into danger territory. They already had a comp that was happy to scale, and they have just taken everything they wanted this game.
T1 have been dancing in the danger zone for like the last 2 games, right? Because the only reason why this works out is that it's a nice execution by Kana, who gets a lot of damage done. Morgan also not quite landing the hookshot flash there. And also Guma is there, because I think otherwise he might still lose, right? Like that is still
There were a lot of things that went right for Kennen, a few things that went wrong for Morgan. I think the late flash was a little bit sad, but he still does his job. Like, this is exactly what you need.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, Morgan knows the moment that he cancels his back there, it's like, yeah, I'm just going to roll tension.
Well, as soon as he dies to Jhin as well, he's like, all right, guys, you can go, 4v3.
I'm gonna be. I don't know if the Jhin is there. That's the sad part, right?
Oh no.
As we can see here, doesn't quite get gobbled as he does have to invest his own flash. But it's Hanwha Life. You can't walk up. You can't fight them. What can you do?
I have absolutely no idea. Well, the Showstopper's going to come. Oh my goodness! What happened to him? He exploded. The Jhin just popped. Oh no. As Faker, he's going to pop the Dominus, looking to try and keep a hold of his Nexus turrets. Canna also just explodes, and Hanwha Life Esports, they've hit critical mass, and T1 can do nothing about it. The piercing arrows are raining down Carrier. I don't know where he was walking, but honestly, it did not matter, as Hanwha Life will do what none of us expected and get the 2-0 over T1. They've done this before. Hanwha Life Esports upsetting T1 is not a thing that we have not seen, but it wasn't what we were expecting today. But it's a beautiful sight for a lot of the Hanwha Life Esports fans.